Kawhi Leonard had one of the best development stories of all time, going from a defensive specialist to an all-around player who can score from anywhere on the court. He continued to add different facets in his game, and in 2016-2017, he took off into superstardom. Proven to be a legit number one option after Tim Duncan retired, this version of Kawhi Leonard, I believe, is the greatest two-way version of him. The Spurs paired Kawhi with LaMarcus Aldridge during this time and was able to get some added help from their star veterans in Tony Parker and Manu Ginobili. Kawhi, in one of his most healthiest regular seasons, led the Spurs to a 61-21 record, placing second place in the Western Conference. This was the season just coming off a second Defensive Player of the Year honor and then becoming a 25 points per game scorer on 61% true shooting while playing elite level defense in an extremely elite two-way season. He had a strong case for MVP this year, and it could have been debated if Kawhi was going to lead the Spurs to a championship until he was unfortunately injured, leading the Spurs to the Western Conference Finals. This Kawhi was 25 years old and much more athletic. His scoring took a huge leap over the years, his handle was tighter, and it allowed him to get from point A to point B and string together moves to break down the defense consistently. His comfortability in the pick and roll grew a lot this year, operating at a 24% frequency as a pick and roll ball handler, which was the most he's operated at till that point of his career. He seemed much more comfortable and fluid rising up for pull-up jumpers when attacking left and attacking drop coverage defenders. And when going right on ball screens, he was prone to using stop and goes, deacceleration, and had an array of spins and hook shots to get off in the lane. The three-point shooting was continuing to grow. He was willing to pull up for threes off ball screens, which, though he shot around 31% on pull-up threes, he showed the willingness if the defense gave it to him to shoot these. His spot-up shooting was where he really shined. 42% on catch and shoot threes, 45% on corner threes, and he really made defenses pay if left wide open. And that threat from three opened up his closeout attack game. That burst at his age was tremendous, so when he was able to just grab and go or pump fake an attack against a rotating defense, he almost always was getting to the rim and scoring or pulling up in space for a mid-range jumper. His cutting was also still sharp, proven to be a reliable piece moving without the ball, and as well as moving in transition. Kawhi's hands were just insanely huge, and it helped a lot with control on the ball. What did help a lot in his game was being able to change directions fluidly and get through tight spaces. Against Victor Oladipo here, Kawhi gains an advantage going right, but then plays with the defender's momentum. All of Oladipo's momentum is going towards cutting off Kawhi's right, which opens up the pullback cross going left, gaining an advantage on Oladipo, and then finishing this play off of 2 feet, sliding by the arms of Steven Adams for the reverse lay. Kawhi was efficient with his usage in 2015-2016. He had a usage of 26%, and that number rose in the 2016-2017 season to 31%. His mid-range game was polished at this point, rose up quickly in space against drop coverage defenders, and then he had a post face-up game that he can lean on in isolation. He operated at a 52% frequency in the mid-range and shot 49% from there per clearing the glass, ranking in the 96th percentile among wings that year. His post-up game was fairly simple: turnaround fades, post hooks, face-up jab and goes, or the face-up jab and shoot. Here against Jeremy Grant, he posts him up on the left side, gives him a couple of back down bumps into a shimmy fadeaway, and you can just see how high that shot release is because no one is blocking that shot. The face-up game was legit as he could just play off of jabs and fakes. Here against the defender, he actively reads how the defense is reacting to his moves. The jab was the nail in the coffin here for the defender as he retreats his leg going backwards, giving room for Kawhi to get into that jumper. And he was trigger happy on jumpers if he noticed the defense did not have their arms up when facing up against them. His mid-range game in the 16-17 season was truly elite. Had an array of moves off his footwork with step backs, step throughs, fadeaways, jump hooks, shoulder bumps. That 7'3" wingspan helped make it possible to just rise up over any defender for that jumper. He also had the strength and stability to drive, shoulder bump defenders to create space and rise up into that jumper. Those bumps were raw at that time, but it did give a glimpse into what would be a key part in his game going into the future. The Spurs oftentimes made Kawhi's life easier here, having him come off down screens and rise up into that mid-range jumper immediately. See how he is able to play off that hezzy going left, attacking space, then playing with the defender's momentum as he stops for the jumper here. In every aspect of mid-range scoring, Kawhi excelled at, and this was just a time where he was literally automatic from there. Kawhi was quick, and you often seen that explosiveness when he can turn the corner, pound the ball hard, and dunk the ball all over you, or when attacking closeouts. That burst, paired with an improved handle, made him tough to contain. Kawhi wasn't extremely shifty with his handle, but he was very efficient, not over dribbling, and his dribbles led him to his spots. Leonard had the quickness off the dribble matched with his strength and balance to help get by players on drives. It didn't matter truly who was defending him. No one could really move Kawhi or overpower him on defense, so Kawhi was in control most of the time. The strength, pacing, deceleration when turning the corner or coming off screens made him a threat going downhill. He was always on balance and in control on his attacks, never really getting rattled by the defense's pressuring him, and at times just dictating the defense. And even though Kawhi didn't put a ton of pressure at the rim, the reliance was mostly on his mid-range creation, and he mostly got to the rim off attacking closeouts. The main gripe in his game was that he didn't pressure the rim a ton for the easiest shots in basketball, but he did offset the need for the constant drives with high-level mid-range creation, three-point shooting, and post play. Kawhi's passing was still developing at this time, and with more on-ball reps came more opportunities to have to play make for others. He made simple reads, but the advanced pick-and-roll plays, playing out of doubles, skip pass, were underwhelming aspects of his game. His playmaking got much more solid over time in his career, mostly with his time with the Clippers, but at this stage he made a lot of simple reads, pick and pop passes, reading the defense as he comes off screens and seeing if the help defender is playing aggressive and making passes to the roller. Nonetheless, scoring-wise, at age 25, Kawhi massively improved his scoring game, becoming a legit number one option, putting together an efficient display of post scoring, three-point shooting, pick and roll scoring, mid-range scoring, cutting and transition attacks, and increasing his free throw attempts, all while averaging a low 2.1 turnovers a game, and not to mention being extremely clutch at this time down the stretch in games. But we all know it wasn't just the offense that made Kawhi special at this age. The defense was special from Kawhi this year. I mentioned before, two-time Defensive Player of the Year coming into the 16-17 season. The freakish hands, length, size, agility, mobility, elite lateral movement, overall strength and balance in his upper body and lower body made him a nightmare defender. He legitimately could defend 1 through 4 and keep up with quick and shifty guards. His body reacted well against counters, and if he did get beat, his length was something he can always fall back on to block a shot or heavily contest it. His contests were strong on jumpers, and it was tough to score over Kawhi consistently. LeBron James absolutely hated the man. Absolutely hated every moment of Kawhi Leonard guarding him, and it's mostly because of stuff like this. Kawhi's ability to move, and even on this spin move by LeBron, still stay with him and block this shot. He could play in different on-ball defensive stances, either playing conservative, keeping the ball in front, or ultra aggressive, speeding up offensive players, defending in the backcourt, and pickpocketing guys. His quick hands and quick reactions were just out of this world, effectively being able to deflect passes, and he was a massive threat to just strip the ball from you as soon as you got the ball. Oftentimes, you would see him play off ball in a very relaxed stance, as if he isn't really engaged, but he's just reading the offensive flow of a team well. And when an option to pass to Gobert seems open here, Kawhi is just there with those quick instincts and long arms to blow it all up. Kawhi's length as a wing, he just had access to on-ball steals that most players didn't have an access to, which is why he earned one of the best nicknames in NBA history, the Claw. He plays in an aggressive low stance here against Ben McLemore, and if guys were just lazy with their passes or exposed the ball too much to Kawhi, it was going to be a steal. He is taking that from you, and it's off to the races. Can see that with Ben starting to rip through, Kawhi just immediately attacks and gets a steal. And it's the same thing against Wiggins here. Kawhi's aggressive stance, and Wiggins tries to rip the ball through, exposing it to Kawhi for the steal. It was also impressive with the fact that his foul rate remained very low as a very active defender at 1.6 fouls a game, showing that he can be efficient with his defense without being undisciplined. And someone that young as Kawhi was, he was very disciplined as a defender. He didn't bite much on fakes, didn't have a ton of lapses where he fell asleep off ball. He was always active, and what really kind of fooled offensive players is that his off-ball stance was almost always relaxed, as I said before. But reacting to what's going on the court was really good, so even if he was relaxed off ball, he is still reacting quick to what's happening around him and could just blow up any passes. He just blows up this play on just pure communication. The Pistons run a horn stagger set, and as the shooter comes off the first screen, Kawhi tells Tony Parker to just switch it, and Kawhi is able to read the pass out from Drummond and pick off this pass. And something he has always been great at executing extremely well, as if the man just has eyes in the back of his head, are these type of off-ball denials and picking off the pass without having much eye contact of the ball. Wiggins does gain a slight advantage here on the back cut, but Leonard, when all else fails, can just lean on that length to save the day. And gaining an advantage on Kawhi didn't always seem like a light at the end of the tunnel, as his recovery skills was also insane. Like on this possession, Kawhi calls out the switch, George Hill slips to the basket off the screen quickly, which gives him an opening, but Kawhi is just there. He just chases this down for the block. And not to mention, the screen navigation was great too, and even if the offensive player gets a slight advantage on him, he was great at playing from behind or on the offensive player's hip, getting rear view contests or straight up blocks. Playing defense in all levels of basketball is extremely taxing to your body, much more taxing than it is playing offense. The level of energy, the cardio you need to play 30 plus minutes a night of elite defense, the ability to move your body in different ways, whether that being laterally, vertically, it's all taxing. Like, you have to love playing defense to be an elite defender. That has to be a core part of who you are. You have to love playing defense. A guy like Kawhi started his career with pride on the defensive end, and he was super athletic to hound the best of players. His movements, balance, instinct, strength, length were a breath of fresh air, as he was an elite two-way player. The quickness and how athletic he was at that age was on full display that year in 2016-2017. Kawhi was a legit offensive player and defensive player. Only thing that really you can nitpick and say that set him back was the playmaking. It could have been better, but again, this guy was young, playing elite level offense and defense for one of the best teams in basketball, the San Antonio Spurs. If you enjoyed the video, give it a like and subscribe to the channel for more NBA breakdowns like these. For all that being said, I'll see you all in the next video.